The secret of the pocket watch. The world had long changed. Time was no longer just a river flowing relentlessly. It could be bought, sold, stored in banks, given as a gift. People exchanged hours of their lives for money, for youth, for the chance to correct mistakes that once seemed unchangeable. Some kept it in reserve, like a precious treasure. Others spent it without thinking of tomorrow. Leah, a girl with a delicate air of refinement and sad eyes, never thought her life would one day hinge on every fleeting second. She worked in a small antique shop on a narrow street, among shelves of old books, quills and ink, letters and dried herbariums. She loved the smell of aged pages, the sense of time lingering in objects, and the mystery of the past. That morning, Leah rose slightly earlier than usual. Narrow beams of sunlight pierced through the dust on the window, illuminating shelves lined with tiny clocks and mechanical boxes. While tidying up, she noticed a small pocket watch she had never seen before. It lay among the others, simple, bronze, with delicate engravings almost invisible on the lid. When Leah held it in her hands, the watch felt strangely warm. She pressed a small hidden button on its side, and the hands froze. Silence hung in the air, as if time itself had stopped. At that very moment, the air in her room seemed to grow heavy. Leah felt a strange sensation, as if something inside trembled, as if someone she had not yet met was waiting for her. "This is impossible," she whispered to herself, staring at the stopped hands. "Who would have thought?" She turned to the mirror and for a second saw herself not as she was, but a few years older, tired, yet with a smile that knew the secret of life and death. Her heart began to beat faster. Leah did not yet know that this watch was not just an antique item. It had the power to stop death. Every second it gave could save a person from dying, but for each second, she had to pay with her own life. Even the tiniest drop of time was taken from her own. Her first test did not delay. As she left the shop, she heard a scream on the narrow street. A little boy was falling directly under the wheels of a carriage. Without thinking, Leah pressed the button on the watch. Time stopped. The wheels froze in midair, and the boy hung suspended for a second in the embrace of space. She ran, grabbed the child by the arms, and moved him to a safe place. Her heart pounded, her hands trembled, and Leah felt a part of her life force being drained. She was scared, but at the same time felt an incredible surge of joy. She had saved a life. "What power is this?" she whispered to herself, examining the pocket watch. "And what am I paying for?" Over the next few days, Leah learned to use the watch cautiously. She helped random people, an elderly woman who had fallen on the stairs, a woman who had left her child on the road, even a homeless man who ended up under dangerous beams on a construction site. Each time after saving someone, she felt her own life shorten, but at the same time, her heart filled with warmth and deep gratitude for the chance to do good. But that day, something completely different happened. She was walking through the park when she saw him. A man stood by a tree as if waiting for someone, with sad eyes, hiding something important. Leah initially thought he was just a passerby, but then she felt a strange jolt in her heart. "Good day," she began, her voice slightly trembling. Are you all right?" He lifted his eyes. Their gazes met. Something in his expression reminded Leah of anxiety, hope, and calm all at once. "Yes," he replied calmly, yet a deep sorrow reflected in his eyes. "Just waiting for someone." Something pushed Leah to approach. She felt an invisible connection, as if their fates were already intertwined. At that moment, danger arrived. The tree next to him began to tilt. When she realized that a branch might fall on the man, she instinctively pressed the button on the watch. Time stopped. The branch hovered above the ground, and he remained safe. He turned to look at the watch in her hands. In his eyes appeared a surprised realization. You stop time? Yes, Leah barely whispered. I don't know how to explain. It's the watch. He stepped closer. I've never seen anything like this. And yet I feel I can trust you. Something greater than mere rescue arose between them. An invisible bond that kindled their hearts and scared them at the same time. Leah knew, with this watch, she could save him as well as anyone else. But every second she gave cost her own life. Even the tiniest drop of time was taken from her own. They stood there in the quiet park, where the air smelled of fresh earth and pine trees, and realized that this was only the beginning. A world where time was currency, fragile and dangerous, opened new horizons before them. I think, Leah said, looking at him, that now my life is tied to you and to this watch. And mine, too, he replied softly, smiling, though his eyes held fear for the future. Thus, their story began. A story where love, sacrifice, and time intertwine into a fragile yet incredibly important thread. Every step, every choice now mattered not only for them, but for everyone they could save. And each time, Leah paid with her own life, piece by piece. Leah walked beside the man she now simply called him. They decided to go to the city together, and each step felt cautious, as if time itself was watching them. Leah still did not know who he really was, but the sense of trust grew with every second they spent together. Do you use this watch often? He asked quietly as they passed narrow streets filled with people exchanging their hours for small purchases. No, Leah replied, clutching the pocket watch in her hand. Only when necessary. Sometimes it's frightening. Sometimes it makes me feel guilty. He paused, looking at her with a serious expression. I understand. Every second isn't just time. It's life, and you give yours to save others. That's extraordinary. Leah felt something warm spread through her chest. She looked at him and saw not just calmness, but something deeper, a willingness to understand her without asking unnecessary questions. I'm afraid, she whispered, that one day there won't be enough seconds, and I won't be able to save anyone anymore. He quietly took her hand, their fingers intertwined, and Leah felt her heart beat faster. Then I'll be there, he said. We'll find a way, together. They continued through the old streets, where the air smelled of bakery bread, cut grass, and the warm metal of old clock mechanisms. The city seemed alive only for them. Every person they encountered reminded them of life's fragility and the importance of every moment. In one of the squares, they noticed a fire. An old house on the outskirts was ablaze, and amidst the smoke, people cried loudly. Leah felt the watch heating in her pocket. I need to, but she grabbed his hand. He grabbed her hand. We'll do it together. I'm with you, he said resolutely. They ran toward the house. Time stopped when Leah pressed the button on the watch. Burning beams hovered in midair. The fire seemed frozen, and people were suspended in their motions. Leah dashed inside, with him following, supporting her. They pulled several people through the doors to safety, and only then did Leah feel how each saved second literally drained a part of her life energy. She barely stayed on her feet. Are you okay? He asked, carefully supporting her. Yes, she replied, although the trembling in her hands made it impossible to lie. Just sometimes it's hard. He looked at her and quietly said, You're a hero, not just because of the watch, but because of your heart. Leah felt tears well in her eyes. She never thought anyone could see her true self and not fear her power. I never did this for myself, only for others."
"And now you do it for us too," he replied, squeezing her hand tighter. "And that matters." Evening fell over the city. After all the adventures, Leah and him sat by the river, where the water reflected the last rays of the sun. Their hands were still intertwined, and the silence between them felt more important than ever. "Do you believe in coincidences?" he asked suddenly. "I don't know," Leah answered, watching the waves. "Maybe everything that happens isn't by chance." He nodded. "Maybe the watch brought us together. Maybe we were meant to meet, to make this world a little better." Leah felt her heart tighten with tenderness. She rested her head on his shoulder, feeling warmth and support. "Then I'm not afraid," she said quietly. "Even if every second takes a piece of my life, I'm ready to keep going as long as you're here." "Me too," he replied, gently touching her face. "Together, we can handle anything." At that moment, Leah realized their bond was not just romantic, it was a strong thread holding them together in a world where every second could change a life. They did not know how much time was left, but they knew one thing: every moment spent together was a priceless treasure. The following days became a series of adventures and small heroic deeds. They saved people, shared resources, helped the wounded and sick. And each time, Leah felt her own life slowly diminish, her heart filled with warmth, love, and the sense that she was doing the right thing. He was always there, supporting her, laughing with her, shielding her from unnecessary risk, yet allowing her to be who she was. Their romance blossomed amid chaos and danger, making each rescue more important, each touch more meaningful.